What's going on, everyone? ODC here, and I'm back with another action figure review. Today's review, we're going to do kind of a collaborative effort, and we're going to do a full review on the Rogue One Black Series re-releases. Now, I do remember doing the entire, I think I did the entire team previously, so you can go back and check those out, but really, I think in one fell swoop, I thought I would just do a review of all the re-releases really quick. And do a quick comparison. Obviously, you can see the blatant comparison in the face sculpts, but I'm going to do each one next to each other and kind of talk about my thoughts on them and just go from there. Since I have the repaints, this whole team is going to go to my stepson. I promised him those, so he wants those, and he's going to get them. But these are definitely a very nice update. I have to say, Hasbro did a really good job with the updated face scan technology. Here and there, it's a little bit shiny. As you can see, there's a little bit of shine glistening off their faces. If you actually get this, it's like a finish, it's like a can, a spray can. I think it's like around anywhere from 12 to 16 bucks, depending on where you buy it from. But it's a can of finish. I think it's like Dr. Finishes, UV, and matte finish spray. You can actually use that. I'm going to do a whole video tutorial on that later down the line, but it actually takes the shine right off of their faces and gives them a nice matte finish. It looks a lot more natural, as opposed to them looking sweaty all the time. But still, even with the shine, I'll take it because they look really good. They look 10 times better than these original releases. Now, the original releases aren't really any different from the re-releases. It's just that face scan technology. So that's kind of the really only main glaring difference. There might be some differences in some paint applications between the two, but we'll kind of get through that. There's actually a mess up on K2SO over here, but I digress. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into it, and we will start with K2SO. Okay, so starting off with K2SO, I gotta say, I can't see too many glaring differences. There's very slight differences between the two. I want to say even most of the paint applications for even just the battle damage or wear and tear are very similar, if not almost the same. I want to say the glaring difference between the two, though, are the brightness of the paint applications. That's the main thing to compare here when comparing both of these. But even the wear and tear, you'll see this wear and tear on his arm. It's right there as well. You'll see the wear and tear right here on his shoulder. It's right there. It's just a little bit brighter on the new release as opposed to the old one. You can even see the head damage or the head wear and tear is very similar, just brighter on the original or the new release as opposed to the original. The chest as well. And even the brightness of the white on his kind of chest piece right here. You can see the glaring differences between the two. So that is something to note, something to point out. I will say this, that the eyes are actually painted better on the original release. My eye is a little bit wonky and painted not to its fullest circle. It seems like they kind of drooped off with the eye right here. So I might still go ahead and use this figure for my display. That, and I think I just kind of, I don't know, something about him just has me prefer the lighter paint tones, because, I mean, he was a kind of a reprogrammed Enforcer droid. So it would make sense that he would have a little bit more wear and tear on him, maybe being a little bit older or going through battles and stuff like that, or just missions in general. It would make more sense for that. The wear and tear on the back is almost identical, just paint apps, like I said, yet again, are going to be different. And I'm just going to kind of point everything out as far as the paint apps do go. On the arm right here, it's actually in a different position right here. So this one right here on this arm is different from this one, which is positioned over here. And you can tell that, oh wait, maybe not. Maybe it was in the right position. Hold on, let me double check here. See if this swivels. Yeah, that does swivel. So it's actually in the correct spot. I just had the arm swiveled in a different direction. So I apologize for that, but at least I caught myself in my mistake. The legs are very similar. I want to say that this paint app is just up higher, so it looks like a different paint application, but it's actually just because the paint application starts way up here towards the knee, and this paint application starts way down here. So that's the difference there. I don't see a little dot right here for the new release. It's just not even there. I think that's one of the only ones that aren't there as far as what I see. Even the feet are very, very close in similarity. And then inside the calf here, a little bit different. There's actually less of a paint application here on the new one than the old one. So these are just little things, little nuances that you can find out about the figure in case you are trying to track down which one is the original, which one's the new one, the re-release. So if you see a brighter colored K2SO, that's probably going to be the re-release. If you see a lighter one, looks a little bit more of like a lighter gray, not a silver, that's probably going to be the original release. So that's just something to note, something to point out. They have the same identical articulation. I'll just go through it with the new one really quick. The head can turn a full 360 rotation. The head can look up, it can look down, it can tilt side to side, so there's that. It does have a neck ball peg joint right there, so he can look way down, and he can look up a little bit. He can pivot kind of side to side like that as well. So you get a lot of character in just the neck and the head. So that's really cool. I think that's why another reason why I really like this figure is that it was so well articulated and had such good range of motion. The arms can go up about that far. They can go down. Full 360 rotation in the arm, which actually makes sense for a robot. I mean, you can, or a droid, excuse me. You can do a full 360 with a mechanical AI or whatever you want to call it, robot, android, droid, whatever. Not too much in the torso articulation wise, but you can get a good twist out of him. And it is very tight on mine, so just be forewarned about that. He does have a bicep swivel. It's just higher up towards the elbow because he's very disproportionate. That's just by design. Single jointed elbow, which gets a little bit more than 90 degrees. And you can hyperextend that to the other way if you wanted to. He does have a wrist swivel as well, and a wrist hinge, which goes in and out. And he does have those hands. I kind of wish he would have came with some sort of accessory, maybe like the pistol that he actually uses in the movie. That would have been pretty cool. But I guess you could take one off of one of the Death Troopers and hand it to him. So if you wanted to do that. And the Death Troopers are pretty cheap and easy to find. So if you wanted to get a Death Trooper and hand him the sidearm, you could do that. Legs go forward. Legs do go back, really far back. If you want to do like a Randy Orton punt, you could. He does have an upper thigh swivel. It's a little bit hindered. That's just due to the anatomy of the figure. And then he does have a single jointed knee, but it gets more than 90 degrees, so pretty good range of motion there. And then yet again, just like the arm, you can hyperextend that knee if you need to make him look broken or something. Upper thigh swivel right at the knee joint almost. And then we do have a boot swivel, a little bit lower than the knee. He can point the toe, he can point the heel, and it's kind of just on that hinge, so you can hyperextend everything. And then he does have this ankle pivot, which is just on almost like an old school Toy Biz hinge. And it is kind of ratcheted, so you get a point pivot right there, point pivot right here, point pivot right there. So it kind of pops into place. Now there is another version of K2SO that is out there, and I have them right here. This is from the Disney Store exclusive Droids pack. And this guy looks pretty unique. He definitely looks pretty cool looking as far as paint applications go, and I'll just kind of bring him in as the third one. He's obviously got, I want to say he has the best paint apps out of anybody as far as paint detail goes, as far as differentiating himself from the others. I actually think it would have been pretty cool, and I understand from just a design standpoint and per the story, they didn't probably want to change how he looked because of, you know, him blending in and being able to go behind the scenes and be behind Imperial lines. So, I mean, I get it, but I think it would have been really cool if we got a K2SO that looked like this. But this is obviously not K2SO. This is a different droid entirely. So, but I got that whole droids pack. I'll probably be doing a video on that sometime soon, but it'd be cool. Pretty cool. I think maybe down the line it'd be awesome to get some of these K2 series droids with some battle damage and stuff. That would be pretty awesome. It doesn't have to be specifically K2SO, just some with battle damage and some with some guns and stuff like that. That would be pretty awesome. Or blasters, excuse me. He's got a little bit of battle damage right here, stuff like that. Just little differences between them, but I did want to point that out. Okay, next up we've got one of my favorites. It's Baze Malbus. This is just a really cool character. You can just sit back, watch, and just enjoy him aesthetically and enjoy his, you know, his kind of friendship relationship with Chirrut and the rest of them. Sometimes he's the voice of reason, and sometimes he gets kind of caught in his own, I guess, Debbie Downer-isms. his own kind of negative Nancy-isms. But, and even Chirrut explains that about the character. I'm not going to go in depth on the character because I'm sure we've all seen Rogue One. But the comparisons between the two are very blatant when it comes to the head sculpt. The head sculpt is probably the biggest selling point for people, you know, probably wanting to buy this new wave. That and the whole jumpsuit that he's kind of got on here is a completely different paint app. As you can see, the tones are different for the kind of brownish khaki that we have going on here. I think I pretty much welcome it just because the original, there were some inconsistencies with, like, if you just look at the leg right here, this is a different color than the leg color. So I'm like, yeah, that's a little weird. Why did they do that? And you can definitely tell it goes into the body. Like, you can see the blatant differences between this and this as far as the paint or the plastic tone. It's like they just kind of screwed the pooch on that one. So on the original, I think I actually prefer the re-release over the original when it comes to most of the details on the figure. And obviously the face sculpt is just 7,000 times better. I mean, how much more blatant can it get? I mean, for the time, back in 2016, 2017 era, this was not that bad. This was actually considered not bad. It wasn't great, we knew that, but it wasn't bad. And we knew that the sculpt was already there because this is the exact same head. It's just lacking detail. Even in the hair, you can see the way more detail in the hair here than you can see here. Now, this has also a little bit more of a matte finish to it than this does. This has a little bit more of a gloss. It's just the differences between the finishes on the paint applications. But using the real scan technology now, which just didn't exist back then, or they weren't using back then, is a huge difference in presentation. Just a huge, huge difference. So this was actually one of the few waves where they re-released and I was like, yep, I have to re-get that because that wave was very spotty at best as far as as far as quality went. So the body themselves I thought was really good with detail and stuff, but now that I'm looking at it, it's like the legs are a different color, the head sculpt's kind of meh, you know. So there's that to point out. The paint details throughout the body are very, very similar, but even the leg armor is a different color. It's slightly different. This is a little bit more of a creamy, or this is a little bit closer to a white. Yeah, it still looks good. Let me just get this gun out of his hand. I'm gonna get this gun out of his hand so we can see all the detail on the chest. I'll actually take the backpack off. And there we go, take that off. And we can see a lot more paint detail on his chest than his chest. His head straight. Actually, I'm gonna just get him looking this way. The symbol, I want to say, is better on here than here. So, I don't know, maybe they just screwed the pooch on that one, but this is supposed to be what it looks like. So I guess they kind of screwed that up, which is a shame. Everything else was going so well for this figure, and now they screw up the symbol on his chest. Oh boy, never a dull moment. Always something. But you can see there's actually a black wash on this body, and that does look a lot better than just kind of this plasticky type material. There's a light wash on this one, but it's nothing too crazy. And just this glaring difference between the legs is huge. This is all one color, consistent, where this one's not. He does have his communicator on his back, which is removable. You can take this communicator off of the back, this little piece right here, and that's same thing on the original. So, but yeah, definitely better paint apps on this guy than the original. Just to point that out. But bam, man, look at that face sculpt difference. It's so night and day. It's like this looks like a toy, and this looks like the real deal, you know? The backpack, this is the original, this is the re-release. And I don't see too much of a difference here. And paint applications, I want to say this is a little bit more crisp as opposed to this original one, which you can definitely tell is a little bit more sloppy right there. So there's not too many different paint apps on the gun themselves. This is the original. Here's the re-release. I want to say the paint is definitely more prominent on the new one as opposed to the re-release. This is a little bit more of a gunmetal, which I think works better for the blaster. And flipping it around to the other side, you can definitely tell the differences there. The red's a little bit deeper. This one looks like a little bit lighter of a red. So the head can swivel. Because of the hair sculpt, it's not the best in range of motion. It's quite poor. But we do have some jive turkeys, a little bit of turkey. So there's that. He can tilt side to side. Not really, actually, too much. He just kind of jiggles a little bit. That's it. Arm goes up about that far, down, full 360 rotation in the arm if you need it to. He's got a single bend at the elbow. He has a swivel at the elbow as well. He does have a swivel at the wrist. He does have a hinge joint, which is lateral. Over here, we have a vertical grip, so he does have the pistol grip that you need. He cannot really crunch forward with this. Well, I guess he can crunch like a little bit. There's neutral, and that's about it. Very minimal. He can't really tilt side to side, but he can swivel. The legs can go forward about that far, so definitely not the best, but he's not throwing any drop kicks anytime soon. Leg goes back. He can do the splits. Let's just see if he can split. That's about it. That's about it for splits. But Baze isn't really doing any Van Dams anytime soon. Upper thigh swivel. He does have a double jointed knee, so there's that to point out. And he can point the toe. Now he's got really weird ankle articulation. He can point the toe like that, like so, right? But getting his ankle to go up, it's just very hindered. It's almost like you need to push it all the way up as far as possible to get him to balance properly. So but he does have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes at the bottom of his feet. And that is pretty much it as far as articulation with Baze. But anyway, I digress. This is pretty much Mal's, I was going to say his name wrong. Baze Malbus. I almost said Mal's Babus. Baze Malbus. And moving on. Okay, next up, we've got one of the main characters of the movie. I kind of consider the whole team kind of a main character, even though she really is, it is kind of about her. Jyn Erso, played by Felicity Jones. I actually really like her character design. There's certain things about her character that I'm kind of like, scratching my head a little bit. But that's a different story for a different time. There are some differences between paint apps, just consistencies with her. As you can see, the stripe on her goes all the way up to her elbow where it stops there. So there's some differences there. Obviously, the glaring difference, which is the face scan. My God, this one's like constantly always looking up, and it just looks just dated. It's very, very dated with her, and that is an unfortunate thing because she also peg warmed like crazy. So hopefully this new one doesn't peg warm because the face sculpt really does look like Felicity Jones, and that's pretty awesome. I can really commend Hasbro for giving us such a better face scan. Oh my God, it's like just this looks like a dollar store compared to this. But the kind of differences between the two, it's yet again, it's just darker, or actually I should say brighter paint apps on this and the lighter paint apps on the original. And same thing here. I want to say the paint apps are just a little bit crisper on the new one as opposed to this old one. And the pants look very similar. I want to say they probably didn't change the pants too much. The boot buckles are almost damn near identical, just like I said, darker on here than here. On the back, very similar. Nothing too crazy there. Even with the hair sculpt, nothing too different there. The hands, everything kind of looks very similar to each other. And opening up the vest, you can see there's the shirt. Shirt is exactly the same sculpt and everything, so it's just a remold. But you can also kind of tell some differences between the consistencies with the pants going down her leg. I want to say at some points it's a little bit like a matte finish, where over here it's kind of like a little bit more of a gloss. So, but yeah, those head sculpts are a huge improvement. My God, it's like now I'm proud to have her on the shelf, where before I was just like, oh yeah, and there's Rogue One and moving on. You know, now it's like, man, so much more improved. As far as her articulation does go, her head, I still kind of wish that she had more room in her head. I might end up popping this head off and just dremeling it out a little bit more, just because her head can't really get too much. And if you turn her head, it wants to like turn upward, like she's looking up and out. And once you turn it neutral, it looks pretty decent. It is on a hinge joint, so you can get her to look up and you can get her to look down. But once you turn that head, it's like she's looking upward a little bit. It's very odd. I've never seen that before. It must just be the angle of the peg. I don't know. It's very, very strange though. But she does not have any jive turkeys, so no gobbles there. Arms go up about that far, down, full 360 rotation in the arm, no butterfly joints, single bend at the elbow. Very weak as far as the single jointed elbow. I would have liked if maybe they would have just made this a little bit deeper, because look how shallow that hinge joint is. But she can also swivel in the elbow, swivel in the wrist. She does have a hinge joint, which is lateral. Over here, she's got the vertical grip, diaphragm joint right here, which can swivel. It can crunch a little bit, just a little bit. You'll see a little bit of gapping issue right there. Not too bad though. No waist swivel of any kind. She can do the splits about that far. Legs can go forward, legs can go back, upper thigh swivel. She does have a double jointed knee. I want to say on the newer release, let me just test this out. Yeah, on the newer, well, I guess the old one too. Very gummy in these legs. It's almost like they made her too dainty. I don't know. Just not feeling the gumminess of these knees at all. But that's pretty much maxed out as far as range of motion goes for the leg. She does have a boot swivel, and she can point the toe. She can point the heel a little bit past neutral. That's about neutral. That's about pointing the heel. And ankle pivot on both sides, and 2 peg holes. So, okay, next up we've got Chirrut Imwe. Probably my favorite character in the whole movie. Besides, actually, Cassian Andor. And I'll explain why I like Cassian Andor. So, talking about them, you can see in the face scan, this was actually, I want to say, the best face scan back for the original day. It's not too bad, but when you do see the updated release, you can tell the difference. But this is still a really good figure, even if you have the original. So if you didn't want to get the updated release, you could go with the original and just kind of stick with it if you wanted to. I don't know, his bow rifle is somewhere. I don't know, but I do have the new release, and I looked up photos of this and against the other one, and obviously, you know, I'm comparing photos to an actual physical copy in my hand, and I didn't see too many differences. I would just say brighter paint apps with the new one. It's been pretty consistent across the board with that. But I'm actually seeing on him that the new release, and let me just get his arms undone here so we can really dive in here. I'm seeing that on the new one, and it's just, I think it might just be Chirrut, or Chirrut. We're seeing a little bit more of a dull red here with a brighter red on the original. So it's kind of flip-flopping here a little bit. And we can see that there's a little bit, I want to say that the nicer paint apps are on the original than there's a little bit of slop right here on that one as far as the chest rig goes. I want to say everything's pretty much better as far as paint apps go for the most part. Well, no, there's a little bit of slop there as far as that gray or silver goes. I guess it's a little bit cleaner on this one. On the back, let's just take a look at the back really quick. Pretty consistent throughout. We do have these tassels right here that kind of hang out. Pretty similar to the old one. I want to say the new one definitely has better line work going on over here, down here, up here. I want to say the line works a little bit better on the original. So there's definitely give and take here. And as you can see, there's a little bit of paint slop right here on the arm, as opposed to this one, which is, I want to say, a little bit like overspray. So it's really give and take as far as that goes. The arms are very similar as far as that is concerned. Even the paint applications are very similar. Just brighter red here, darker red here. So there's that to point out as well. I want to say the cloth goods are very similar. It looks like this is actually a little bit of a, I don't know, newer, brighter looking texture, as opposed to this looks a little bit worn on the new one. So I don't know. It's very, very weird. This one's very inconsistent, but the face is very consistent, as you can see here with his head sculpt here. Like I said, the old one's still not too bad, but this is definitely better. You can tell the lips are painted, stuff like that. So the hair and everything looks pretty good. Looks like Donnie Yen, you can tell. So I mean, that's it. As far as articulation does go, we'll go through it with the newer Donnie. The head can look up. Let's just check here. It actually stops there because it kind of tucks into the neck. I'm trying to get it over that ridge, but it's not working. But so you can kind of look neutral right there. And his neck is also kind of poked out a little bit. And I think that's just kind of his posture right here, how it's sculpted. But the head can look down. The head can look a little bit, no, can't really tilt side to side. No jive turkeys either. Arms go up, down, full 360 rotation in the arm. He has a single bend at the elbow, swivel at the elbow, swivel at the wrist. He does have a hinge joint, which is very limited just due to the armor bumping right there. but there it is. That's a lateral. We have a vertical grip on this side, which does help with his staff, his bow staff. The ab crunch is very limited. The upper torso is very limited. There's no diaphragm joint. He can twist the waist a little bit. And to get that moving, you can hear the little pop for the waist. He can do the splits, and he really needs to be able to do those splits. Wish he could do better splits than this. It could just be, you know, not the best. I've definitely seen better out of the Black Series as far as splits go. But especially on a martial artist, you would want to have him be able to really kick the shit out of somebody. And this is kind of wah-wah, you know? Especially for Donnie Yen. And especially if you want to get him into some sort of kicking pose. Because he's got so limited torso articulation, you want to have him be able to extend that leg up further so you can balance him properly. And it's just not doing it. So this is kind of lackluster there as far as the kicks go. Legs go forward, leg goes back, upper thigh swivel. He does have a double jointed knee. If I can get it there, there we go. And he does have a, let's see if he has a boot swivel, no boot swivel, just a point to toe, point to heel, ankle pivot, 2 peg holes. So a little bit lackluster, but that's, I mean, it's still, this is we're talking, I guess, an older body, and I guess they kind of had to work with what they had as far as getting him articulated. And he's got a very unique asymmetrical design, which is cool. I don't know. I think between these two, they both look really good, and they can both hold the bow rifle, which is a very unique rifle too. So you have to extend that out. They have hinges over there, and then you want to give it a little twist because you have that to hold, and will hold it on this side right here. I kind of wish he would have held it, be able to hold it, excuse me, a little bit easier, just because it's almost like his arms are a little bit too short for the bow rifle, and this hand doesn't like the grip. I noticed that across the board with some of these Rogue One figures, some of the older Black Series, is that they have kind of a hard time gripping things sometimes. It's like the trigger finger is a little bit too short or dainty. I don't know, but I've noticed that in some Black Series figures, is that especially the older ones. But you can have him posed however you want, have him, you know, give him a stance. He's blindly shooting a TIE fighter out of the sky like he did in the film, which was pretty awesome. He's like no-look shot a TIE fighter out of the sky. But, you know, I dig him. He's really cool. I love the updated face scan. I think I'm a lot happier now. But, you know, this is, like I said, if you have the original, he's not too bad. I still like him. So, but that's pretty much it for Mr. Donnie Yen, Mr. Chirrut Imwe. Okay, and last but not least, the official leader of the group is Mr. Captain Cassian Andor. My second favorite character out of the crew. Dude has to do what he has to do. I kind of love this scene where he kind of puts Jyn Erso in her place after she kind of judgmentally gets in his face about the whole, were you here to kill my father? And he's like, listen, little girl, you don't understand what I've gone through and what I've been through with the rebellion. I've been in it since day one. You don't get it. I kind of feel that. I get it. You know, sometimes leaders have to make very difficult decisions, and I can respect him for that. I can respect he has to, you know, sacrifice things and make hard decisions. And it kind of showed, like, especially in the beginning, the introduction to his character. Like, he kills it's not just an enemy. Like, he kills an ally. He kills a rebel spy just to kind of save the information falling into the Imperial hands. So he'll do whatever he has to do for the rebellion, and that's commendable. That's definitely a character trait that's not seen that much within Disney. You know, they always have, you know, look what they did to Boba Fett, for God's sake. They turned him into a soft SAWFT, bro, you know? Anyway, but Cassian here, obviously, nice little update. I want to say, for the most part, it's the exact same figure. He even comes with the exact same attachment. I just kind of had him holding his pistol instead of the full rifle here. I don't know, for some reason I just had him holding the rifle instead of the pistol. The differences between the two are very minimal. I want to say extremely minimal. Other than, I want to say, almost the head sculpt. Everything is almost damn near identical on the two. The jackets are the same brown, the same lighter brown for the lined work right here. I would love to get it'd be a cool little jacket to wear. But the shirt underneath is exactly the same. The pants are the same. Even the buckle paint is the same. He's very similar to his original release. Even on the back, here's the back. Even the little rifle bullets right here are the same. The holster, same holster, everything. It's just this head sculpt, which is a wonderfully huge improvement. This changes how much I even care about the figure. Before I was just like, yeah, this looks like a guy dressed up for Halloween like Captain Cassian Andor, and this looks like Diego Luna. So I don't know. It's just so much more improved, like significantly. It makes the figure that much better. I mean, for God's sake, look at his eyebrows. It's like they purposely made him the bushiest, almost unibrow. And then here, it's like, oh, I have normal eyebrows now. What happened? It's it's crazy how different paint applications can be. Same sculpt. This is the same exact sculpt. This is what paint applications can do. This is what they cannot do if you don't have them. So this looks like a dude having a goatee, and he's got like spotty, crappy beard hair, where this looks like a lot more natural of beard hair that Diego Luna would have. So I don't know, just, oh my God, is the face sculpt alone. And they just, even with all the other releases of him, like all the releases of his head sculpt were trash. They were all terrible. I literally have all of these troopers over here of him because I turned these into Rebel troopers. Because it was easier to make Rebel troopers out of him than actually collect his figure. I could swap the head and it wouldn't matter. So that's like, I think the huge selling point here is if you really hated this one, or you just weren't impressed and passed on it, you have your chance here to get the proper version, and it's so much better. Just so much damn better. Paint apps on the gun themselves are exactly the same. There's really no difference. There's literally no difference between these two. I don't see any difference, and I've looked at these back and forth. But I love that you can tear this rifle down. It's just so great. It's, this is in the sniper mode, and you can take it, tear it down, and that's just so unique for the character. I love that. So I don't know. A lot of people are crapping on the Andor, Cassian Andor show. Like, who gives a shit about Cassian Andor? I don't know. I kind of am looking forward to it just because I like that whole like spy kind of cloak and dagger shit that goes on, especially with the rebellion. Like, damn. And if he's brutal in this, shit, it might be a pretty good show. So don't sleep on it. Give the show a chance. I think it might actually be a halfway decent show. But yes, and he's dramatically pointing the gun at this one's head to blow its brains out and say, "I am the better one. Pick me." As far as articulation does go with the figure, he can not really look up at all. Like, at all. Dude is not, no. He can look down. He can look side to side. He can't really pivot either. Just a little bit of a jiggle. That's it. Arms go up about this far. Well, about that far right there. Down. Full 360 rotation in the arm. He does have a single bend at the elbow, which is a little bit more than 90 degrees. Swivel at the elbow. Swivel at the wrist. He does have a hinge joint, which goes back and forth. And he does have a vertical grip on this side for... Oh, no, he has a... I'm sorry. He has a... he must have an old school... No vertical grip. That's weird. Yeah, he's got a lateral grip over here. That is rather odd. Huh. He does have a diaphragm joint, which is a little bit ugly as far as sculpt goes, just because it's like flat right here and then kind of goes with the sculpt. So you might want to just keep him like that. He can crunch forward though. He can pivot side to side. He can swivel. No waist swivel. You can do the splits about that far. Legs go forward. Legs go back a little bit. Upper thigh swivel. He does have a double jointed knee, which is good range of motion there. He does have a boot. No, he does not have a boot. He does not have a boot swivel. Sorry. I thought he had a boot swivel for some reason. I don't know why. I'm confusing him with somebody else. Points the toe. Points the heel. Ankle pivot. Very tight ankle pivot on the new one. It's probably just because it's brand new. And 2 peg holes. So, but he can get into pretty good stances if you need him to. Excuse me. Sinuses are crazy this time of season for me. But yeah, he could definitely two-hand his rifle. Might have to stretch his hand out just a hair, but he can two-hand it. He can kind of look down the sights. You definitely have to use some photo manipulation because it definitely doesn't look like from this angle. He's not looking down the sights at all. And he should be. He definitely should be. But over here, let's see if I can get this hinge to work for me a little bit more. Oops, and I popped the hand off. I just need that hinge to do that perfectly. There. I will say this is a very shallow peg going into the hand here. There we go. Let's see if we can get that like that. And he can kind of do it. Like I said, this is definitely an older body mold, so he would have really benefited from what you call it, butterfly joints. But I don't know. I guess he can't really look down the sights too well, but he can hold his gun. And if you want to have him shoot, normally you can have him in pistol form. So maybe that'll work better for most people. Just have him using the pistol. Okay, so for my final thoughts, obviously you can see which side won. I mean, even poor K2SO back there is like, yeah, we lost. My side lost. I was the only good one out of this side. Well, I guess there's a Chirrut too, but this side across the board is better. Like I said, I think the only one out of this whole side of the row that I would take over the original would be K2SO. Just because I like the little bit of a duller paint app on him. He's been through battle. He's been on missions. He's been a reprogrammed enforcer droid. And I would expect him to have a little bit more wear and tear on him. That and the eyes on the original K2SO are painted much better than the new one. So there's that. But like I said, it's a win-win because I'm going to use him for this crew, and then I'll use that one for the Imperials. So I might get another K2SO and put, at least I have 2 Enforcer droids with my Imperials, and go from there. But across the board, all the figures themselves, a big improvement. I want to say paint apps, especially on Baze, face sculpt on him, face sculpt on her, and I want to say both of these are kind of like even, except the face sculpt is better, obviously, on him. So pretty much face sculpts, except for Baze, which had huge glaring differences between the two as far as paint applications being better. The only missed thing on him, or he would have been a pretty damn perfect figure, was the damn chest symbol being off, a goof. So that's on Hasbro though. I did not include Bodhi, just because Bodhi here oops, if you can get him focused. Bodhi here, focus, please. Was a newer release and has a pretty good face scan already on him. So, I don't know. I didn't feel like it was really necessary, but he is a part of the team, and he'll be on the winning side, seeing as he just came out not too long ago, about a month or so ago. But that's pretty much it as far as the team pretty much goes. What you call it? Her father, Jyn Erso, is coming out shortly. I want to say sooner rather than later. And we're also going to get Anton Merrick, the original leader of Rogue Squadron, from Target as well. So Galen and Anton Merrick, General Anton Merrick, going to be included in the Target exclusive. It says that they're sold out right now. I was able to pre-order one of each. I think Galen is still up, so if you guys want to check that out on the Target website, go for it. Yeah, wish you best luck on those, trying to find those exclusives. And I hope we get more characters from the rest of Rogue One. I mean, even some of the side characters, some of the alien characters, that would be pretty cool too. I would appreciate that. Yeah, other than that, so that's pretty much it for me. I would definitely give these new re-releases a 2 thumbs up, and definitely recommend you pick them up. If you don't have the whole group, the whole cast, definitely go out and get them. Bodhi Rook is a really good figure. Maybe I'll do his review down the road. And yeah, this is definitely a welcomed update and a welcomed addition to my collection, and these older figures will go to a happier home. Regardless of that, I hope you guys enjoyed this review and comparison. I know it was a little bit longer, but I had to do each figure and kind of give my thoughts on both. Other than that, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.